Stop! Before you close this video, I need you to hear something that most doctors will never tell you to your face. Every single night, while you sleep peacefully in your bed, your heart is fighting a silent battle. And for millions of people, that battle ends before morning. You've heard of people dying in their sleep. Maybe you thought it was peaceful. Maybe you thought it was random. Maybe you thought, it won't happen to me. But here's what the death certificates don't tell you. Here's what the hospital reports quietly leave out. There is a reason, a real, biological, terrifying reason why the human heart is most likely to stop. Not during a stressful workday, not during exercise, not during an argument, but in the dark, in the silence, while you're sleeping. And once you understand it, you'll never think about going to bed the same way again. My name is Dr. James Calloway. I've spent over 22 years as an interventional cardiologist. I've held the hands of families in hospital hallways at 3 in the morning. I've reviewed thousands of cardiac event reports. I've sat in rooms with some of the world's leading heart researchers. And I can tell you this with absolute certainty. Most nighttime cardiac deaths are not random. They are predictable. And in many cases, they are preventable. The problem is, nobody is talking about this clearly enough. The information exists in medical journals. It exists in research papers. But it never makes it to the dinner table. It never makes it to you. Until now. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 real reasons people die at night from heart-related causes. These are ranked from serious to the one that shocked even me when I first read the research. Number 1 on this list? It's something that almost every adult in the world does, every single night, without knowing the risk they're walking into. But we'll get there. First, let's start with what's already quietly putting your heart under pressure right now. Tonight, while you think you're safe, stay with me. This could be the most important 10 minutes of your life. Let's start with number 5. And I want you to pay attention here, because this one is hiding in plain sight. In almost every bedroom, in almost every home. Number 5, sleep apnea, the silent strangler. Here's what happens. You fall asleep, your muscles relax. And for most people, that's fine. But for an estimated 1 billion people worldwide, something else happens too. The airway collapses. Just partially, just enough. And breathing stops. Sometimes for 10 seconds, sometimes for a full minute, sometimes more than 30 times per hour, all night long, without the person ever fully waking up. Now here's where it gets dangerous for your heart. Every single time that breathing stops, your brain panics. It fires an emergency signal. Your body floods with adrenaline. Your heart rate spikes. Your blood pressure surges. 30 times an hour, all night long. Think about that. While you believe you're resting, your heart is being whipped like it's sprinting, over and over and over again. I had a patient, 51 years old, fit man, ran marathons, no family history of heart disease. He came to me complaining of fatigue. That was it, just tired all the time. We ran a sleep study, severe sleep apnea. His oxygen levels were dropping to 67% at night. His heart was under attack every single night, and he had absolutely no idea. 6 months of treatment later, his blood pressure dropped 18 points without a single medication change. The fix? If you snore loudly, wake up with headaches, or feel exhausted no matter how long you sleep, get a sleep study. Don't wait. This is not a comfort issue. This is a cardiac emergency in slow motion. Now, number 4. This one makes people uncomfortable, because it's about something we all do, and something most of us do wrong. Number 4. The dangerous drop, nocturnal blood pressure, dipping gone wrong. Here's something your doctor may have never explained to you. In a healthy person, blood pressure naturally drops by about 10 to 20% during sleep. Doctors call this dipping. It's normal. It's actually protective. It gives your heart a chance to rest. But in millions of people, this system is broken. Some people don't dip at all. Their blood pressure stays dangerously high all night long, silently damaging the walls of their arteries while they sleep. But here's the part that surprised even experienced cardiologists when the data came out. Some people dip too much. Their blood pressure drops so low at night that blood flow to the heart becomes insufficient. And in people who already have some arterial narrowing, even partial blockage, that drop in pressure can trigger what's called a silent ischemic event, a mini heart attack, in their sleep that they never feel. A 2019 study published in the journal Hypertension followed over 11,000 patients. The findings were alarming. Patients with extreme nighttime blood pressure dipping had a significantly higher risk of major cardiac events, including sudden cardiac death, compared to normal dippers. And the terrifying part? You cannot feel your blood pressure drop while you sleep. You have no warning, no pain, no alarm. This is why I tell every patient over 45, ask your doctor about 24-hour ambulatory blood pressure monitoring, not just a reading at the office, a full day and night picture of what your heart is actually dealing with. Because what happens at 3 a.m. could be far more important than what happens at 3 p.m. And that brings us to the middle of this list, numbers 3 and 2. This is where the science gets deeper, where the stories get harder to hear, and where the risk becomes very, very real. We're halfway through this list. And I need you to understand something before we go further. Everything I've told you so far, the sleep apnea, the blood pressure dipping, those are warnings. Those are the body sending signals. Signals that can be caught. Signals that can be treated. What I'm about to tell you now operates differently. These next two work quietly, invisibly. And by the time most people find out, it's already too late. Number 3, the 4 a.m. surge, your body's built-in cardiac trigger. I want you to picture something. It's 4 in the morning. The world is completely still. You are deep in sleep. You haven't moved in hours. And inside your body, without any warning, a biological timer goes off. Your nervous system begins shifting from its nighttime rest state into pre-dawn activation mode. Your body starts preparing to wake up. And to do that, it releases a powerful wave of hormones. Cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine. These hormones do something very specific to your cardiovascular system. They raise your heart rate. They raise your blood pressure. They increase what's called platelet aggregation, meaning your blood becomes temporarily stickier, more likely to clot. In a healthy heart with clean, open arteries, this is manageable. The body handles it. But in a heart with even partial blockage, with arteries that are already narrowed by years of inflammation and plaque, that surge of sticky blood, that spike in pressure, that acceleration in heart rate, it's like pressing the accelerator in a car with a failing engine. This is not a theory. This is documented in decades of cardiac research. A landmark study from Harvard Medical School analyzed thousands of heart attack cases and found a striking pattern. Cardiac events peak sharply between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., and the surge begins silently in the hours before that, right around 4 a.m. The researchers called it the morning surge. Cardiologists have known about it for years. But here's what nobody tells you. This surge is more dangerous in people who are sleep deprived, more dangerous in people who drink alcohol before bed, more dangerous in people who eat late at night, more dangerous in people under chronic stress. In other words, more dangerous in most of the modern world. I lost a colleague to this, a cardiologist himself, 58 years old, no symptoms, passed a stress test 8 months before, found by his wife at 5 in the morning. The autopsy revealed a plaque rupture, triggered almost certainly by the pre-dawn hormonal surge interacting with an artery that was 70% blocked. He didn't know, even he didn't know. What you can do: talk to your doctor about taking blood pressure medication at night instead of morning. Studies show nighttime dosing can significantly reduce the impact of the morning surge. And if you are over 50 with any risk factors, ask specifically about your pre-dawn cardiovascular profile. Now, number 2, I debated whether to put this at number 1. The research is that alarming. Number 2, inflammation. The invisible fire burning through your arteries while you sleep. Most people think heart attacks happen because of cholesterol. That's not wrong, but it's dangerously incomplete. Here is the real mechanism. And I need you to follow this carefully because it will change the way you think about your heart forever. Inside your arteries, right now, there may be deposits of plaque, cholesterol, calcium, cellular debris built up over years. In many people, this plaque is stable. It sits there. It narrows the artery. It causes problems, but it doesn't immediately kill you. But some plaque is different. Some plaque is what doctors call vulnerable plaque. Soft, unstable, covered by a thin fibrous cap, like a blister sitting on the wall of your artery. And underneath that cap, a pool of inflammatory material just waiting to be triggered. When that cap ruptures, and it can rupture without warning, the contents spill into the bloodstream. The body responds as if there's been an injury. It sends clotting factors rushing to the site. A clot forms, rapidly, completely blocking the artery. That is a heart attack. That is how most fatal cardiac events actually happen. And here's the nighttime connection that changes everything. Inflammation in the body follows a circadian rhythm. Inflammatory markers, specifically a protein called C-reactive protein, and cytokines like IL-6, are measurably higher during the nighttime hours. A 2021 study in the European Heart Journal found that nighttime elevation of inflammatory markers was directly associated with increased risk of plaque rupture during the pre-dawn hours. Your body's own inflammatory cycle, triggered and worsened by poor sleep, processed food, chronic stress, and excess weight, is essentially destabilizing your arterial plaques while you sleep. And you feel nothing. No pain, no signal, no warning. I had a 44-year-old female patient, healthy weight, non-smoker, occasional glass of wine. She came in because her husband noticed she seemed short of breath when she laughed. We ran a high-sensitivity CRP test. Her inflammation markers were severely elevated. A CT angiogram revealed significant vulnerable plaque in her left anterior descending artery, the one cardiologists call the widowmaker. We caught it. We treated it. She is alive today. But she came within months, possibly weeks, of a fatal nighttime cardiac event. What you can do: ask your doctor for a high-sensitivity CRP test and a coronary calcium score. These are simple, inexpensive tests. They are not part of a standard checkup. You have to ask for them specifically. They could save your life. And now, we have arrived at number 1. The one I promised you at the beginning. The one that affects almost every adult alive. The one hiding in the most ordinary habit you have. Brace yourself. I've been doing this for 22 years. I've sat in grand rounds with some of the most brilliant cardiovascular researchers on the planet. I've reviewed data that never makes it into mainstream medicine. I've seen patterns in patient after patient after patient. And when I first saw the research behind number 1 on this list, I went home that night and changed my own behavior. That's how significant this is. Number 1. Fragmented sleep. How broken sleep silently restructures your heart. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you slept a full, uninterrupted 8 hours? Not just 8 hours in bed, actually sleeping, deeply, without waking up to check your phone, without tossing, without that 2 a.m. moment where your mind suddenly switches on and starts replaying everything you're worried about. For most people, that kind of sleep is a distant memory. And your heart is paying the price in ways that science is only now beginning to fully measure. Here is what happens inside your body during deep, healthy sleep. Your heart rate drops to its lowest point of the day. Your blood pressure falls. Your nervous system shifts fully into parasympathetic mode, what researchers call rest and repair. Your body releases growth hormone. Cellular repair accelerates. Inflammation is suppressed. The lining of your arteries, the endothelium, actively regenerates. Sleep is not passive. Sleep is the single most powerful cardiovascular repair mechanism your body has. Now here is what happens when that sleep is broken, interrupted, fragmented. Every time you wake up, even briefly, even without fully realizing it, your body snaps back into sympathetic nervous system activation. Heart rate jumps, blood pressure spikes, cortisol floods your system, and then you fall back asleep. And then it happens again, and again. Each micro-awakening is a mini cardiovascular stress event. But here's what makes this number 1 on this list. It's not just about one bad night. It's about what happens when this pattern repeats, week after week, month after month, year after year. A groundbreaking study from the University of California followed over 2,000 adults over the age of 45 for 6 years. They didn't just measure how long people slept. They measured sleep fragmentation, how often people woke during the night, how disrupted their sleep architecture actually was. The results were staggering. People with the highest levels of sleep fragmentation had a 29% higher risk of atherosclerosis, hardening and thickening of the arteries, compared to people with consolidated continuous sleep. Not because of diet, not because of exercise. Independently, sleep fragmentation alone was driving arterial damage. But that's not the most alarming finding. A separate study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that people who experienced chronic sleep fragmentation showed measurable changes in heart rate variability, one of the most sensitive indicators of cardiac health we have. Their hearts were losing the ability to respond flexibly to stress, becoming rigid, becoming vulnerable. And a 2023 meta-analysis covering over 4 million participants across 74 studies concluded that poor sleep quality, not just short sleep, but disrupted sleep, was associated with a 44% increased risk of coronary heart disease and a 47% increased risk of stroke. Read those numbers again. 44%, 47%. Not from smoking, not from diabetes, not from obesity alone, from broken sleep. Now let me tell you about David. David was 49 years old when he first came to see me. Successful businessman. traveled constantly, different time zones every week. He slept, by his own account, about 6 or 7 hours a night. He thought he was fine. But his sleep tracker told a different story. He was waking up an average of 14 times per night. He never remembered most of them. To him, he was sleeping. To his cardiovascular system, he was running a marathon in the dark every single night. His coronary calcium score came back at 340, severely elevated for his age. His arterial walls showed early but significant atherosclerotic changes. His heart rate variability was in the bottom 8th percentile for his age group. He had no chest pain, no shortness of breath, no symptoms whatsoever. He was 49 years old and his heart was aging at the rate of a man in his mid-60s. We restructured everything: sleep schedule, light exposure, evening routine. We treated underlying anxiety that was driving the micro-awakenings. We addressed his travel schedule. 18 months later, his heart rate variability had improved by 34%. His inflammatory markers had normalized. His cardiologist risk score dropped from high to moderate. He told me, "I thought sleep was something I'd fix when I retired. I didn't realize I might not make it to retirement. Here is what I need you to understand. Fragmented sleep is not a lifestyle inconvenience. It is a cardiovascular disease accelerator. It promotes inflammation. It destabilizes plaque. It drives up the morning surge hormones we talked about earlier. It worsens sleep apnea. It disrupts the blood pressure dipping cycle. Every single item on this list, numbers 5 through 2, is made dramatically worse by number 1. Broken sleep is not the background. It is the engine driving almost every nighttime cardiac death risk we know of. What you must do, starting tonight, set a consistent sleep and wake time, even on weekends. Your heart follows a biological clock, and inconsistency alone raises cardiac risk. Eliminate screens 60 minutes before bed. Blue light suppresses melatonin and delays deep sleep onset. Keep your room cool, between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Core body temperature drop is a trigger for deep sleep entry. If you wake at night and cannot return to sleep within 20 minutes, get up briefly. Do not lie in bed awake. The anxiety of trying to force sleep fragments it further. And if you are consistently waking multiple times per night, please, tell your doctor, demand a sleep study, demand a cardiac workup. Do not accept "you're just a light sleeper" as an answer. Your heart is repairing itself right now, or it isn't. And the difference between those two outcomes happens in the dark, in the silence. In the hours nobody sees, take a breath. I know that was a lot to absorb, and I know some of what you just heard was uncomfortable, maybe even frightening. But I need you to understand something, and I mean this with everything I have as a physician. Fear is not the goal here. Action is. Because here's the truth that gets buried under all the statistics and the studies and the late-night emergency room reports. The heart is remarkably resilient. It wants to heal. It is designed to recover. And the human body, when given even half a chance, will fight for you in ways that will genuinely amaze you. So let's bring this together. Let's turn everything you just learned into something you can actually use. Starting tonight, here is what we covered. And here is what it means for you. Number 5, sleep apnea. The silent strangler, quietly flooding your heart with adrenaline, surges dozens of times every hour while you believe you're resting. If you snore, if you wake exhausted, if your partner says you stop breathing at night, do not wait another week. Get a sleep study. This single intervention has saved more hearts than most medications I've ever prescribed. Number 4, nocturnal blood pressure dipping. Your blood pressure is supposed to fall at night, but in millions of people, it either stays dangerously high or drops so severely that blood stops flowing adequately to a narrowed heart. You cannot feel this happening? A 24-hour blood pressure monitor costs almost nothing. The information it gives your doctor could change your entire treatment plan overnight. Number 3, the 4 a.m. surge. Every morning before you open your eyes, your body fires a hormonal alarm that spikes your blood pressure, accelerates your heart rate, and thickens your blood. In an unhealthy artery, that surge is a detonator. Talk to your doctor about nighttime blood pressure medication dosing. Reduce alcohol before bed. Protect your sleep in those critical pre-dawn hours. This one conversation with your physician could be the most important medical discussion you ever have. Number 2, vulnerable plaque and nighttime inflammation. Your arteries may be carrying unstable inflamed deposits right now, and you feel absolutely nothing. A high-sensitivity CRP blood test, a coronary calcium score, 2 simple tests, 2 numbers that could tell you more about your cardiac future than a decade of standard checkups. Ask for them by name. Write them down before you leave this video. Do not leave your next doctor's appointment without requesting both. And number 1, fragmented sleep. The master accelerator. the hidden engine behind almost every risk on this list. Broken sleep is not laziness. It is not weakness. It is a medical condition with measurable, documented, devastating effects on your cardiovascular system. Treat it with the same urgency you would treat high blood pressure or high cholesterol, because the research now tells us it deserves exactly that level of attention. Now I want to speak to you directly for a moment, not as a cardiologist, as a human being who has watched too many families receive news they were never prepared for. The people who died in their sleep did not think it would happen to them either. They were busy. They were tired. They kept meaning to make that appointment. They told themselves they'd deal with it after the holidays, after the project was done, after the kids were older. There is no perfect time to protect your heart. There is only now. One phone call to your doctor, one conversation, one blood test you've never asked for before, one night where you actually turn the phone off and let your body repair itself the way it was designed to. These are not dramatic gestures. They are not expensive. They do not require you to overhaul your entire life overnight. They just require a decision that you are worth protecting, that the people who love you deserve to have you here, that your heart, this tireless, faithful, extraordinary muscle that has beaten over 2 billion times without you ever asking it to, deserves your attention. Here is your action plan, right now, tonight. Write down these 4 things before you go to sleep. 1. Schedule a sleep study if you have any symptoms of disrupted sleep whatsoever. 2. Ask your doctor for a high-sensitivity CRP test and a coronary calcium score at your next visit. 3. Request a 24-hour ambulatory blood pressure monitor reading if you are over 45 or have any cardiac risk factors. 4. Set a consistent bedtime tonight, same time tomorrow, and the night after. Your heart runs on rhythm. Give it 1. That's it. 4 things, written on a piece of paper. That list could be the most life-saving document you ever create. If this video opened your eyes, if it made you think about someone you love, please share it with them right now. Not later, right now. While it's on your mind, a parent, a partner, a friend who you know isn't sleeping well, someone who keeps saying they'll see a doctor but never quite gets around to it. You could be the reason they do. And if you want to go deeper, if you want to understand exactly how to optimize your heart health through sleep, nutrition, stress management, and targeted testing, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because everything I share here is built on one belief. The best cardiac intervention is the one that happens before the emergency. Leave me a comment below right now. Tell me, which of these 5 surprised you the most? Was it the morning surge? The inflammation? The fragmented sleep connection? I read every single comment, and your question might become the next video that saves someone else's life. I'm Dr. James Calloway, and I'll see you in the next one, because your heart has a lot more beats left in it. Let's make sure it gets every single one.